Hi everyone, I'm going to do a quick demonstration on the zipper foot and how you can use it, or different ways you can use it, but also a comparison between a normal hinged foot and what your zipper foot can do. So your zipper foot has a bolt on the back that you can adjust, and that allows your foot to move either side of the needle, and that allows your needle to get very close to the edge of something like a zip. Most of the time, if I'm doing a zip, I will use this little foot, but with this foot your needle can only get as close to the zip based on either the 1/8 foot edge here or with the 1/4 inch on this side. So I am going to do both to show you the difference. So I have my little zip and I have a couple of bits of fabric. So I'm going to put my 1/8 inch hinged foot on first, and I've only done a tiny little bit of fabric, so you can see a teeny tiny version of it. So first off, I am going to baste my zip. So let's just line that up with the edge, and I'm going to do just a 1/8 basting stitch on this side with a zip. The only thing that's going to get in the way all the time is the zippy pull thing. So I'm not even going to use clips. I am just going to kind of line it up. And because of this foot, the closest I can get with it, even though I'm just going to baste now, your foot is causing a hindrance against your zip teeth. But I'm just going to run a basting stitch down, and let's move the zip out the way. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but just to show you. Not the neatest version, but that's okay. So you would then normally, I usually do a basting stitch because it just keeps the zip in place while I do the second bit, and I don't want to be worrying where my zip is. So I'm now going to do a zip sandwich, and sometimes you can just do this all in one go. But I want to get my stitch as close to the teeth, there's my teeth, as close to the teeth as possible. So I've flipped it now so that this side of the foot, of the hinged foot, is as close as possible to the zip. And you can kind of feel it with your finger, and this part of the foot is going to butt up against the zip. So I'm just going to run that. I can feel the edge of the foot pushing against the zip, and I'm going to have to stop so that I can lift that up and just pull this part out the way, which can be a bit fiddly. There we go. Did I get that right? No, it got caught. Oh look, I've actually got it caught in. Right, that's better. It's going wrong. No, it's not. There you go. Okay, pop that down. And we're carrying on to the end. Right. So I've now made a zip sandwich. And if I open this up, let's pull the zip across, and I flip this part over. Now you should normally press this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to finger press. So that gives you a zip sandwich. But you can see how far away the fabric is from the zip because of the little foot. Now that sometimes that works well if you're, say, doing bag making. But if you wanted to do a much closer stitch, this is where our zipper foot comes in. So we're going to do the same thing again. Let's get another piece. Now, while my 1/8 foot is still on, I'm going to just do a basting stitch. So same thing again. Try and line it up, which I haven't, but oops. Bury the needle in so that it will hold. And then faffly do that. Right, now we're going to change to the zipper foot because I want to get my next piece of fabric as close to that zipper teeth as possible. So this foot comes off, zipper foot on. Now I haven't, this is still loose at the moment. Yours might be a bit stiff, but mine's still loose. Even if it's a little bit stiff, you can pop a little bit of oil on the back just to start getting that moving. However, once it's on your foot, once your foot is attached, it does start making it a lot easier to move about. So let's get this lined up now. We are going to need to move this piece, which is still awkward to do even with the zipper foot. Right. Actually, I'll show it to you like this. So what I want to do is for my next line of stitching, for the needle to be up against the teeth. I'm going to do it that way round. So that's where I want my needle. Can you see? I want the needle to go there, but I want to butt my foot up so that it's close as possible to the teeth. Now if I put that down, because of where, oh, it needs to go in just a little bit more. Let's move that out of the way. I can adjust this. If you lower your needle ever so slightly, you can pretty much butt the foot up until it bangs on the needle. I don't want it to bang bang, but close enough, and hopefully you can see this on camera. So let's just tighten that up. Make sure your needle can go through without it banging. So I'm happy with that. Now I can put the foot down. This part of the foot is butted right up against the teeth, but because of the little notch in the zipper foot, it means my needle can slide through and also be super, super close to the teeth of the zip. So now we're going to pop our second fabric over. So you're feeling where the zip is. And my foot, I can feel, there's the edge of the teeth. I can feel the foot up against that. Let's pull those threads here because I want to make sure that thread is caught in that teeth hole as well. And you can feel just how close that is up against the teeth. Now I'm going to bury the needle, lift that up and move that out of the way. And then pop that back down. And we can run to the end. And now we can see the difference that that has made. And let's get rid of our threads. And flip that over, pretend I've just pressed it. And pull that there. So now you can see just how close that is compared to your standard foot. Now, if I adjusted that a bit better, I was being careful because it's a metal zip and I don't want my needle hitting the metal of the teeth, but you can see the difference of how close that can get. But this also means that I can top stitch really close. Now we need to top stitch this way, so I want to be able to top stitch, but I want to top stitch really, really close to the edge as well. You can do it, let's actually do it two ways. Let's go in there. So I'm still using the edge of the foot, but I can top stitch a lot closer now. Now, if I was top stitching with my normal foot, and I won't put it on, I'll just show you. If I was top stitching with a normal foot, that's kind of the closest that you're going to be able to get with it. Get a little bit closer because of this foot, but normally, because of the edge of the foot, you can't butt up that close. If I show you with this foot, this zip, which is much chunkier and bigger, that's how close you can get with your needle to it because of the foot. But with this, you can get super close to it. So that's a cool thing that well, that's what the zipper foot is designed to do, is to allow you to get your needle as close to zipper teeth as possible. But the zipper foot can do another awesome little thing. So that's that done. You can also make piping, your own piping with this foot. So what I've got is just a bit of bias binding tape, and I have opened, this is pre-made binding, so that's pre-made binding tape. What I've done is I've opened it up, ironed it, and then flattened it that way. So it now looks like this. And I've got a bit of just garden twine, but you can use any kind of thick, you can use thick wool or some cording. I just grabbed what I had. So we are going to make some binding, but what I want to do is I want to move this, undo it, and I want to slide it that way now. And if I just slide my needle down a little bit and butt it up and then tighten it. So now my needle, it's not hitting the foot, but my needle is now, my foot is this side, but my needle is on the right hand side. And then I'm going to open up the binding and pop my garden twine in the middle and just sandwich it. Now it will move ever so slightly, but only until we've got it on the foot. I'm going to take my threads and I'm going to pull them around this way so that the thread is already catching under the little nook in the foot. Spridge that out, and then, oh, the needle's not up high enough. I'm just going to pop that down. So what the foot's doing is the foot is holding your piping in place. So now I'm just going to start popping my twine in the center, and I'm just going to focus on making sure my twine is in the center, because now I can start running that down, and it is stitching the twine. Sorry, I've not the camera. It is now stitching the twine as close as actual possible into the bias tape. So I'm just going to run it through a little bit and then I'll cut it, because it's boring watching the same thing over and over. So I'll only do a little bit. But you're not really having to worry about the twine anymore, because this part of the foot is holding it in. That twine is not going anywhere. All I'm doing is just guiding it about here, just with my finger, to get it all the way across. Let's leave it about there. Scissors, not those scissors, these scissors. And I'm going to just chop that off, because we don't need a really long piece. So let's just feed in that last little bit. So I was using blue or bluish bias tape and white stitching. Hopefully you can see that, but that So if you were doing this, you would, you know, use the same colour so that it becomes invisible. But you've now created your own piping, or bias tape piping, that you can set up on another project, and it is just using the zipper foot, because as you can see with the stitching, using the zipper foot has kept the twine up this end, up on this side, and has stitched as so close to it without actually stitching onto the twine or rope or wool or whatever you're using. So that is another good thing that the zipper foot can do. But you can use the zipper foot if you needed to do a stitch very, very close to an edge of a piece of fabric. This is, you just adjust your foot to be able to do that. But that's quite an easy way of just making your own tape. I mean, you can use a bit of old shoelace if you wanted some really thick piping, or you know, wool, cord, anything like that. But it has a really good effect. And if you match your thread colour to your tape, that stitch is pretty much invisible then. And then when you're doing your actual stitching this too, or sandwiching your piping in between two pieces of fabric, your bias tape, you've got enough of a seam allowance, so enough of a seam allowance here to be able to stitch that all down. And then when it comes out, and here's what I did earlier. Oh no, I don't know where it is. Can't find it. I did make one earlier. Never mind. Oh, here it is. I found it. So here's one I did earlier, where I did actually put, so I'd already made my piping. So there's another piece of piping, and then sandwich that between two pieces of fabric, still using the zipper foot. And that's how I stitched it down on the inside. So there's my piping sandwich, and then that's how it comes out. Really, really close to the stitching because of this little foot. So go and have fun with it. It's really, really fun to use. It's very simple. The only thing to make sure of is when you put your foot on and you are, let me just loosen this, if you are adjusting your foot like that, even once you're threaded up, lower your needle so it's just below the foot itself, and then you can use that to guide how close you've got it. And it also means that you know your needle isn't going to knock or smack into it. So just take a few minutes to just line it up so that you're happy with it. Even do a test stitch before you go, and then you can create some lovely little things, really, really neat, with your little foot.